What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Rube.
Welcome to Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. Still inspiring people to feel better, look better, be better, make better March Madness picks. All that good stuff every damn day of your life. And our Tuesday night show, presented by our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels. Muskox just launched a new lighter weight 3 seasons flannel. The flannel is available in 3 new colors, perfect for spring. 3 season flannel is still made out of durable 100% cotton and a 4.7 ounce square yard. Still that great double brushed feel. All that stuff. You know you feel good when you're in the Muskox flannel. That's what I'm going to say. Their spring edition is awesome. If you go to muskox.com/spring, go muskox.com, and I love their sky blue vintage sky. It matches my eyes. I'm going to look good in it, and I think it's coming this way for this spring. Again, that's Go Muskox, GOMUSK, Ox. Go Muskox. God, I suck at this. How long have we been off? .com. Let's just start this whole thing over. That's not great. It's not a great effort by me.
It wasn't bad. 3.7 thread count or something?
Yeah, no, I read it the first time. I was like, yeah, that's interesting. We'll give people little details. And now I look at it, and I'm like, that's just bad.
It sounds good, though.
Yeah, it does. The 3-season flannel at gomuskox.com. Again, the Couch in the Rube promo code is CAW15 for $15 off, and that's something you could say after that live read. Apologies to Muskox and everybody who's listening to this show. All right, so it's been a little bit. Some shit's happened.
Yeah.
You were in San Diego.
I was.
You usually pick like a vacation, like right around Selection Sunday or the first week of the tournament.
Well, last year was my bachelor party, kind of. Table for 2 bachelor party that we went and gambled our asses off. But that was different. But this year, yeah, San Diego, the weather wasn't great. It was like 55, rainy and kind of cold, but still, you're in San Diego, and it was fun. We had a good time. Didn't really see much sports over the weekend, though. I watched the state game, unfortunately. Found a bar that had the Big Ten Network. That was a tough one to do there.
Yeah. And yeah,
you have the Big Ten Network? Like what?
It was not a great game for people. The Big Ten tournament is, I don't know, it is what it is. That doesn't excuse Michigan State's performance. It did 0 for the Big Ten in terms of seeding, I think. It's not representative of the regular season at all, especially in a year like this.
And it hurt Michigan probably, right?
Well, it did hurt. I don't know, because it didn't help. It didn't help Rutgers at all either. So it didn't help or hurt Michigan. They were going to the NIT unless they kept winning. They would have probably had to beat Purdue. But again, I don't know how much the selection committee was paying attention to conference tournaments. When you start to look at how much little movement there was from that last week, it's a reminder that these are just basically showcases for money. In the Big Ten's, instance, the title is less than the regular season. It's the FA Cup, as I say, for those who love soccer. It's got some value once you get to the final game, but maybe the semis.
Every year this time you're going to hear Graham bitch about the Big Ten tournament because there's no way they're getting rid of it. There's too much money.
They're not. There's too much money involved. But I
agree with you, but still,
there is less value to the Big Ten tournament than any single road game. So if you're looking just based on value to pick a trip, now I'm not saying you shouldn't go to the Big Ten tournament. It's usually in a cool city. You get to maybe see your team multiple times. But
wait, so now we're in on the Big Ten tournament as long as we can go.
As an event, it's kind of fun. I get that.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, if you were to do something, you wanted something of value in your life, you would do the Iowa-Nebraska road swing and get more value to the games you were actually watching your team play, and than the Big Ten tournament. And you get to see Iowa City and Lincoln, which is pretty awesome.
Sounds fantastic.
That's a really bad take, but that's the sort of stuff we give you on this show on a Hot Take Tuesday night.
Can't be any worse than what I have rustled up here.
Excellent. Carmen Electra, another Carmen Electra hot take.
No, I left that one out. Save that for July.
Excellent. So we are going to do our hot takes here, get into your hot takes, and then later on we're going to have Harry join us and pick the games and the upsets we like, the first-round matchups we like against the spread, who we think is going to get out of each region and win the whole thing. So we'll do that.
How many brackets have you filled out?
Just 2.
Okay.
Just 2. And both have been one for the Lansing State Journal, Beat Couch bracket pool, and then one for the Couch in the Roo bracket pool that just went up at about 5 o'clock today, presented by our friends at Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook.
If you win, let me know what kind of shirt you want, because I'm not going to wait on Couch.
Prizes are coming.
What a show. You don't know what day it's on. They don't pay out prizes for contests. We're great.
None of this is true. You're just making shit up at this
That's
point.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
Just let me know what kind of shirt. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Maybe, it would be.
T will make one.
Yeah. Maybe we'll even do some sort of muskox, high-quality flannel from the spring collection.
Sounds like you've talked to the people at Muskox before you just said that, correct?
Sounds like that, doesn't it? Go to gomuskox.com/spring if you want to order one today, of course, as well. All right, what is your first hot take?
It's not really a hot take, but we had takes a couple of weeks ago about how Michigan State fans didn't want to make the tournament, so it would give motivation or something for next year's. And then watching Izzo and how excited everybody was for it. You all right?
Yeah, it was just weird. You hear that?
Yeah. It was your microphone or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Put your headset on it. But anyway, it was nice to see Izzo was happy about it. The players seemed like they were happy about it. I don't know. A.J. Hoggard, was he happy about it? I don't know what's going on with the bench there. I saw that videogram. I don't know what to make of that. I saw A.J. Hoggard said it was no big deal. I don't know what to say, but I will say the people that said that a couple weeks ago, like for real, I just can't believe that they would say, "Oh, I don't want the streak to remain alive," because he passed Coach K with that too.
It's a big deal. The floor, for Michigan State basketball, the fact that it's 25, the 25 straight years you're in the tournament, the worst years you're in the tournament. I think that's a big deal. I understand the idea that you want a higher ceiling than that, and that lately the ceiling has felt a little lower than that. And that'll bring us to my first take, which I'll double in here with this. I think if they don't get out of the first weekend this year, if it feels like the last 2 years to some degree, and 2 years ago, I don't know if anything will feel quite like it. It was like a half-empty arena in West Lafayette against UCLA, in a play-in game. That was a weird deal. But certainly if it feels like they are a good middling, when you say middling college basketball program, that involves more NITs. But if they feel like they're a middling upper-tier program, which is what it feels like the last couple of years, I think after this year, you'll actually see it begin to bother Izzo in his language. You'll see him react to it. You'll see it become a priority. Things get to a point where they bug Izzo. And I don't think it's there yet. I think he knows he's got a good class in. He likes the kids. He likes the program. He also thinks he's got a team, I think, right now that can do some things this month.
Don't coach my team.
It's different than the last couple of years. However, you saw it with like the Champions Classic, where they were competitive for a while, and then they went on a run where they weren't winning those games. And you could see how much it grinded his gears in the post-game press conference, like losing to Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, like the idea that those programs were somehow viewed better than his, and his was the stepchild program. And then you see a year like this year when they beat Kentucky. That's why that game mattered to him so much, because he knows so much perception is being made early on in the season against those programs and those opportunities, and that's an opportunity to keep that up. I think the perception of his program, he's still like you look, Jeff Goodman picked Michigan State to go to the Final Four. Like they're still a hot pick, because some of it is, and I think some of it is savvy basketball people who say if you're going to pick a dark horse with good guards, right? They're not a bad dark horse team. But some of it is just the Izzo has done this. It's Izzo. And some of that's warranted because he has done this. But I think after a while, you'll get less of that, right? It wears off. I think this is an important year. Get to the second weekend for them to feel on the radar, if that makes any sense.
Sure. Yeah, they have to hope to get out of this first weekend. But still, you have to look at it at 25 straight years. If you're someone that's going to go to Michigan State on the basketball team, you're going to make the NCAA tournament if you go there. I don't know if kids care about that anymore. Do they really care about going to the tournament?
They care. Like right now, we're watching, as we record this, we're watching Michigan versus Toledo in the NIT. And I'm the Michigan
6.5. Come on.
You got Michigan?
No.
Oh, you got Toledo. Toledo is a team that These kids have not gotten there. Kowalczyk, their coach, has not gotten there. They wanted badly to get there this year, and it didn't happen. And they got to win the MAC tournament to get there. It's so hard for them to get there. The NIT is not a bad deal for them either, but it is like getting the NCAA tournament for a lot of players who are really good players and a lot of programs is hard to do. It's why Tyson Walker transferred from Northeastern to be part of that. Like, it should not be taken for granted. I also think it's fair to celebrate that if you're a fan and hope that's not it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that those are two fair things. I think you can celebrate one, and not say he's washed and should be fired and all that.
In frustration, you can say it. For 24 hours, I think. Yeah, I think you can let off some steam, throw out some hot takes or Twitter questions, and then let it go after a while.
Yeah.
But you have that right. If you're going to sit there and dedicate 3.5 hours.
You have the right.
Right, I know. But people,
you have the right to look like a doofus, too, if you think
right, and I'm sure people
fired.
don't want to do – well, not fired, but you know what I mean. You can get angry about stuff.
Totally. No, I think it's fair to want for more. It's fair to – if Michigan State is an elite program – like they are viewed, then it shouldn't be play-in game 7 seed. Like, what follows that should be another top 3 seed type year, right? That's when you're sort of viewed as in the mix for a run, and they can make the run. They've made the run from the 7 seed before. They made the run a couple times from pretty far down, but. But
what's the confidence level? We all know Izzo's good in March, but what can he? I mean, can you really be? I'm not going to sit there and doubt the man because I could see him beating USC. I don't know about farther than that, but
and there have been years where
it doesn't seem like it's going to be good.
There have been years where, like in 2015, the run to the Final Four then led to the next year where they were a top-ranked team for part of the year. Now that wound up being the Middle Tennessee State year, which wasn't ideal. But, I think this is the year if they don't get out of the first weekend, that'll start to grind Izzo. Becomes
I hope so.
And it's very much a goal and focus of this team. But I haven't heard it in the there's always a point where something pisses Izzo off, and it becomes a real rallying cry. And I think this will be that year if they don't get there. What's your second hot take?
Well, speaking of Michigan, Graham, I don't know if you saw this, but they had the NIT bracket announcements. And your boy, Hunter Dickinson, was really excited about it. I guess he does some sort of podcast with a video element, and he was on this podcast waiting for what team that they were going to play. But isn't it kind of weird for a guy like Dickinson who talks a bunch of shit? I mean, I know that these guys aren't super excited to play in the NIT. I don't give a shit what they say. But to celebrate what's like where you're going to be and what seed you got in the NIT, is that good for Michigan? If you're a Michigan fan right now, are you excited about where the program is? I mean, even if you win the NIT.
So I have a totally different take on this same thing. I saw the Round Ball podcast that he does. I saw some of the videos that came across my Twitter feed, and I watched for a few minutes. And I know, Round Ball podcast has its issues with Hitler and all that stuff. But
wait, what?
Separate from that, I actually thought, like, what are you going to do at this point? They didn't turn down the NIT, which I'm glad they didn't. Like, fuck you, North Carolina. Like, come on. Let's not act too big for anything. Nothing's going to make me root against North Carolina than turning down the NIT. You take your comeuppance,
That's
right?
A boss move, though.
It's not a boss move.
Playing that shit.
It's not a boss move.
I'm not going to travel.
You wear. No, it's not a boss move. You wear powder blue. You're not. There's no boss move.
I don't know. You ever seen a pimp? They wear those colors.
If it was a muskox flannel, I'd be all over it. So what am I talking about here? But nonetheless, I actually thought he was self-deprecating and funny, and he leaned into it, and it was cool. They did this whole thing they were all kidding. It was all tongue in cheek.
Oh, it was a bit.
They're just kidding.
Can I ask people that aren't funny? Like, if you do a bit, it's hard to tell when you're never funny. Like, Hunter Dickinson has never been funny on purpose.
He was joking about being the best big man in the NIT and that,
Dude, I thought he was serious. I'm not joking around.
There's no way
that was you're telling me it wouldn't shock you if Dickinson would brag about being the best big.
He talked about when they were like in the last bracket and they didn't know if he were in. He was like, well, maybe we'll be in the CBI. Like, he's got a stupid looking face.
Again, what's the joke there? It was a possibility. I don't know. I'm just sick of people that aren't funny doing bits.
I do bits all the time, and I'm not funny.
Well, Versus Hunter Dickinson? Oh, man, you're way funnier.
Thank you.
Like
Thank you
George
for that.
Carlin compared
Thank
to.
you. All right, my second hot take, and we got a lot more MSU basketball coming today, by the way. It's going to be a heavy MSU basketball day.
No shit.
Yeah. I loved covering Susie Merchant. Absolutely did. And, it was she understood how important it is to be open and candid and how important that is in storytelling. She was to me, she didn't shy from conflict. When a story wasn't all neat and tidy, she was willing to dig in and talk about it, and it led to great. She was just fun to cover, and she was interesting and kind and a really good basketball coach for a long time, and competitive, and she won a lot of games, and she won they went to 10 NCAA tournaments in 16 years, 2 Big Ten titles, very much, as I wrote in the column I wrote on her today, Judd Heathcote run, maybe without the without magic, right?
And the national title.
Right. Well, that's magic.
Yeah.
You can put magic on her team. And she had some bad luck. She had some runs that almost happened. Madison Williams gets hurt, and that, that mega recruit who never panned out. Ariel Powers leaves a year early, all that stuff. And I understand that she is beloved by the fans because she is a really good person who I think dove into this community and did a lot of important things for people and young women. And I know there was some peripheral frustration with the way they weren't winning. But I think it is also important. Like, this is a big moment for the women's basketball program. She kind of showed, we saw with Joanne P. McCulley what was possible, and then an extended run of real competitive play. And now they've got to try and take that next step. But I think also it's important, as we want equity for women's basketball, as it becomes a bigger and bigger deal, and I think it is in the NCAA tournament. I think the ratings show that our expectations match the expectations we have for men's programs. And that you can love Susie Merchant, but there ought to be more frustration with 2 straight years not reaching the postseason. Now, her health concerns are a little separate from that, and that changes things. She's been out since late January. I don't know exactly how serious it is. I know last time it had to do with her heart and sort of the heart arrhythmia and sort of the the idea that her heart was beating too fast for her blood pressure, all sorts of some serious stuff, and they thought they had it fixed, and I don't even know if that's it. She was real open about it last time. She's has not yet done that this time, and that's absolutely her right. But I do think it's important for the next coach and for any coach in a sport as high profile as that they can be beloved and you can respect them and they can be kind, but you also ought to hold them to a standard and have some of the same frustrations. If we're going to talk about equality for women's basketball, we need to talk about expectations for the women's program, and those things need to go hand in hand. And anyway, that's just something I've noticed today. Like I think at this point there should be nothing but well wishes for her. She had a great career there. She treated people immaculately. She has a great legacy there, and I think we should all wish for that sort of legacy on people's lives. Like, the way she made people feel was really good. But I also think if Tom Izzo had her run over a period of 5 years or so, there'd be a lot of anger out there.
Yeah. It's decision time for Haller, right? I mean, what do you want to do with this women's basketball program?
Oh, I think he knows it's big. My sense is, he's the one who raised her salary to about $700K a year before this year, and that was basically saying how important women's basketball is to the school. It had to, from a resource perspective, it had to match the importance, not just for Susie Merchant, but for the next coach and whoever, and they've done that. And so I do think you'll see them go out and go after a sitting head coach that's had success, or a top assistant at a hot program sort of deal.
And it could be a good job too, right?
It'd be a great job.
Fans will come to the stadium, come to Breslin if they have a good team.
It's got a good core of fans, even when they're not great.
Right.
It certainly can be something there's more passion about. Like, we see it in readership, for example. When MSU hockey was down, I've said this before, but Pewamo Westphalia High School track drew more page views, even though people would sometimes show up to the arena. right now people are not reading. They are right now about Susie Merchant because they care about her and she's leaving. But a lot of what was written this year about people just aren't reading about women's basketball at Michigan State the way they were 5-6 years ago when I was writing 6-7 columns a year off games and other things. There was a people were into it because it looked like the program was on the cusp of something. And so it is a program that people will get excited about beyond the core, women's fan base, women's basketball fan base. And I think it's a real opportunity. And look, everybody has their run, and you go and you get somebody who's got it's their turn to have a head of steam and work relentlessly to try and get it going. And so that's what this is. She was a really good coach for a long time, but I did find that interesting. Just there is a little bit of a different standard there in terms of.
So what do you do if the next coach is a really, really great person?
Well,
right?
I think there's twofold to this, though. I think we have to look at it with men's coaches that you really care about, too, and be able to separate those two things and be able to remember that they're human when you're on Twitter or you're angry about something or you're not happy with their, be it a football coach or men's basketball coach, and be able to say, gosh, this is frustrating. I don't know if this is the right person anymore for the job. I really like them. I really wish it would work, and that's okay.
I can't wait to see Twitter turn like that.
Yeah.
Everything's nice.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if I'm not
Let's
saying
get my burner out.
The hot take is if you don't want to be a misogynist, you got to rip women's basketball coaches. Be equal, right? No, That's not what I meant. Sorry, we'll take that back. Fix that in post. That's not at all what I meant to do. Which sponsor wants to be tied to that one? Should I go into dig into a live read here? No, it might be time for some Skybin. What is your next hot take?
Buenos tardes. It is time for the Detroit Tigers Gambling Update with Gramanito Couch and Jason Nick.
The World Baseball Classic, Graham, is happening right now. I don't know if you caught that. Any games so far. But Nicaragua played the Dominican Republic. I think it was last night. Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
Anyway, in one inning, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. I'm probably not. Duque Hebert struck out Juan Soto, Julio Rodriguez, and Rafael Devers in the 9th inning. A Tigers scout was there, and now Hebert is signed with the Tigers. You know how happy I was? And by the way, I had to look further into that because I know there's some Japanese team that's Tigers, and I didn't know if it was actually the Detroit Tigers because you don't see shit like this ever. A couple of weeks ago, I was saying, why not throw some money at Ohtani? The worst he can say is no. And now they're going out and doing shit like this. I know it's just a little kind of thing. You never know. The guy might not even go anywhere, but at least the Detroit Tigers, their name is in something, and it gets people excited. And by the way, a lot of experts are liking the over on the Tigers too. So I don't know what you get, some inside knowledge. I'm ready to buy in. I just need to see a little spark first or something because you were way too confident on, what is it, 69.5?
I was just too excited. I saw the number. I got really excited. Went to the Firekeeper's Eye Casino Sportsbook app, and it was like, boom, 69.5. I'm all over it. And, I'm still going to bet it because I want to have some money on the Tigers doing well. But that is the only reason. But I will 100% turn and bet against them on a daily basis if that's the way we ought to go. Mm-hmm. I did love this signing because I love when there's a great story, and I love a reactive team that's like, wow, I don't know if this kid's any good.
Right.
But why not? Because what do we say about baseball? There's no salary cap. There aren't limitations to this stuff. Everybody who's intriguing, you ought to sign. There's no limits. No limits to anything.
Well, a little bit. I mean, the dude did strike out 3 potential future Hall of Famers. So,
but if you had $70 billion in your bank account,
oh yeah,
in a non-salary cap sport, you could pay this guy $1 billion. It doesn't matter, is what I'm saying. It's a non-salary cap sport. You should have a certain amount of money. You don't have to have the $700 billion, but I'm just saying you should have a certain amount of money to play the game. And when there's somebody intriguing, you should always be willing to give him a pro contract. I absolutely loved it. My third and final hot take. Couple things. I got a problem with the Irish and St. Patrick's Day.
Oh.
First of all, pick a day. St. Patrick's Day is Friday, this coming Friday.
Yeah.
Right?
I thought so.
Not in Chicago. It was last Saturday.
I saw that. They put the green in the water.
Yeah, it was like you can't have it twice. And I understand wanting to do it to the nearest weekend. All good with that. A lot of people want to do that stuff with holidays. Fine. But last Saturday is nowhere near this Friday, close to the nearest weekend.
Yeah, where was this announced?
Not a
Facebook
not a
group, or-
smart crew. The other problem I have with St. Patrick's Day, and it needs to be moved by a month. If we're going to conflict with something, have it battle with Easter. But it shouldn't be anywhere near the start of the men's basketball tournament. Because here's what happens. This Thursday and Friday, two of the greatest days of the year, right? It is vasectomy Thursday.
Yeah.
Right? If you're going to be stuck at home out of work, this is the week. This is the time you do the vasectomy. This is the time you go to the bar. You take the day off. This is fun. And yet, on Friday, when people are trying to watch a Michigan State game, half the bars are going to have some jackass singer over there yodeling in Irish music. And I love Irish music. I love Irish Republic Army music. And I'm a Brit. Whatever. It's fine. Just not on the same day. We've got to work on this because I am somebody who's actually been part of a crew that is paid to have a singer stop while trying to watch a basketball game and wanting sound on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, that's got to be brutal for that musician.
Yeah, well, there are only like 6 of us there.
Were you wearing that hat at the time?
That
would
like
be
an
a
Irishman.
double whammy, yeah.
This is like 2006 Kalamazoo. And you know what it might have been? It was the Michigan State game against George Mason that they lost. And yeah, Irish singer, and
should have played the music.
We probably should have, but we paid like $100 to like combine.
Holy shit!
Well,
that's offensive, but I would take it.
Yeah,
if we were doing a live show and someone's like, "Here's $100, just turn the mics off."
And I understand certain bars are different bars, but there are a lot of bars that claim to be sports bars, and if you want to be considered a sports bar, you cannot ruin the NCAA experience for the sake of the Irish on St. Patrick's Day. Move the fucking holiday a month. If you're going to fight with something, battle with Easter.
Wait, so you didn't know it was last weekend?
Why would it?
I mean, when did they announce it?
I didn't know till I got there, and it was like, okay. Because I've been right. I mean, Elizabeth, my wife, used to live right across the river on Columbus Plaza, right across from where the Media Hotel was, the Sheridan Grand down there. And so I've been there when they've done the coloring of the river. It's fun. It's cool. I have no issue. But I always remember it being a little closer to actual St. Patrick's Day. I had no idea it was coming. And now this Friday, everybody's going to do the same thing again. And you got to pick one. It should be closer to your weekend, but it should also not have anything to do. It's just too much of a bar day on another really important bar day, and we got to work on that. And that's
overrated anyway, though, right?
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Well, but it's a pain in the ass if you're trying to watch a game and they're drunk fuck nuts all over you. Like it's not good. Anyway, that is my third hot take. Are we ready to dig into some of these listener hot takes?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right.
Eric Schultz up first. Number 1, the Iowa game was an inexcusable collapse, but make no mistake, the Ohio State game was by far the worst loss of the season. 2, a Final Four run is the only thing that keeps this season from being a third straight dud. You don't get to underachieve for 4 months and get it all forgiven because you strung together 2 nice performances. 3, that said, the bracket they couldn't have lined up better for that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think. Well, Final Four runs a lot. I would argue this, Eric, and you may not agree with me. I do believe that if they got to an Elite Eight, it would feel a little like. It was a year they got to Elite Eight, like 2003, where nobody saw it coming, and just because they haven't been there in a bit, and it would be a run, and they would be. So I think an Elite Eight would give people a lot of the same feels. So that would be my argument. But I know where you're going with that. I do think the bracket. It's not an easy bracket. I picked Marquette to beat them because Marquette has been a better team more often. But
just skipping over USC, huh?
Well, yeah, but I do like the matchup. Like they got both teams they play right away aren't going to hurt them where they're most vulnerable, which is as a rebounding team. They're not going to pound the offensive glass and beat up on Michigan State that way, and that's a huge break. That's an enormous break, and because if they're going to lose now, they're going to get beat strength on strength a little bit, and if you get beat that way, fine. What are you going to do about it?
Ohio State game, was that worse than Iowa? I mean, it wasn't fun, the Ohio State, but Iowa maybe. I got to say that's a little worse.
Well, here's the thing:
is my soul.
They played so well for 38 minutes against Iowa, so you can argue it's worse, and they still went to overtime on the road. And if you saw any of my Twitter arguments, you know how
I can't keep up.
Value that. Yeah, no, Ohio State was bad. Here's where I would say, based on what the committee did, I don't know how much meaning the Ohio State game had. Penn State had a hell of a week and wound up with lost by 2 to Purdue and wound up with a 10 seed. They made zero hay, basically, by having the week they had, I think, in the NCAA tournament seeding.
But if the Iowa game happened in the Big Ten tournament, I mean, at least you shot the lights out. You played well, and Iowa hit some crazy shots, right? I think it's where the timing kind of was. The Ohio State game is just a dud before you go to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great. The one thing I'll say that if you're looking for a positive spin, little spin zone type of action here, I would say that you wanted that game to happen then rather than this week. If you remained hot and you're going to have a game where it all falls apart and you sort of get lulled into this idea that you're some new team, I think that
makes you feel better, I guess.
That could be it.
Dominic next. Number 1, for all his greatness, I've never seen a coach refuse to ride out a hot stretch in a game like Tom. Over and over and over again, he'll auto-sub in the middle of a run. Make it make sense. 2, Graham's incessant dickin' balls and Michigan advocacy last week was funny. Saying they've been snake bitten, the school that fakes a COVID outbreak every time they're nervous is snake bitten. And after the cream cheese draw last year, miss me all day with this, Graham Blue Wall, Burkhart. 3, I didn't unfollow Graham. Not sure why I had to refollow him. Also, not sure why I constantly see crazy Kari Lake tweets in my feed. Elon, a low-key bitch. Bonus. There needs to be a July pod with Jake Hawkins. Jake Hawkins coming in to discuss various streaming shows. A live watch of the Yellowstone pilot is both expected and appreciated.
Appreciate you, Dominic.
It's not a bad idea.
No.
It really isn't. For July?
Yeah. We only wind up doing like 3 shows in July, so we'll take all the recommendations we can get. But
by the way, I have unfollowed Couch by accident as well.
Back
when I was drinking, I somehow unfollowed you. So I don't know if it happened to Dominic the same way.
Nah, I think some things weird happen because I've unfollowed some people accidentally. And like Twitter now is just bizarre. Like the amount of rhetoric that I don't care at all about or would rather not see that I'm now seeing in Twitter. It's asinine. It's not the Twitter that I signed up for. And I think what sucks is if there was some other apparatus right now, we would be on it. There's just nothing that was competing and ready to go. Like Twitter is not a great product right now, but what it is it's got a monopoly, and we don't really have anywhere. Nobody's ready for where are we going to jump to? Yeah, we have absolutely nothing to jump to. To his number 1, the auto sub thing. That is one of the things that does drive me nuts with Izzo too, because I thought in this last game there were a couple points where the subbing did hurt, where he took out Madi Sissoko at one point where they were working. Like sometimes it's not so much about the player, it's about the lineups just got something working right now. The matchups are working. And you can't always even explain it perfectly, but it's working. Don't mess with it. And I get that if, sometimes people would just, this is working, play the same guys 40 minutes until it doesn't. And that's not a real thing either.
It's pretty extreme.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. But there are times where it's like, hey, why don't we hold back for a minute and let this lineup go? Let's see what comes out of this. Maybe hold back for 2 minutes. And I understand there are rotations and all that stuff. But there are times, especially in the Ohio State game, that stood out where in that small ball lineup where they went with Hall and Hauser just did not work.
Bo McJunkins next. Number 1, find someone who loves you and will defend your honor as much as Graham defends Matt Painter in late February, early March, Michigan basketball. 2, Graham went full Gary Barta, college football playoff committee, with defending Michigan basketball. Well, if you look at the past the losing, they're a good team. 3, Chris Collins is the coach of the year. Painter doesn't deserve an award for doing what they were picked to do and having a giant who doesn't get fouls called against him.
They weren't picked to do that. They were picked 6th, I think. I mean, that's the thing. People think they were picked to be really good. They weren't. Nobody thought they were going to be that great this year. They saw 2.
That's why preseason rankings are ass.
Yeah, they had 2 freshman guards that and people didn't think they were going to be great. Nobody knew Edey was going to take this step and be this good.
But should we change it to surprising coach of the year for Chris? I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
What's here's the MVP for coaches?
The argument for Painter. And I actually think a year ago he didn't maximize his team when he had Travion Williams and Jaden Ivey and those guys. But the argument for Painter would be, hey, you lost Jaden Ivey and Travion Williams and you got better as a team. That's good coaching with 2 freshman guards. Chris Collins underachieved for 7 years after making the NCAA tournament and finally got it to work. Like, why is that get the honor? I mean, I would have been good with either guy. I would have picked Painter, 100% good with Collins, though.
Todd Trustel next. Number 1, I miss the days when Izzo seniors had a sense of urgency. What happened in that Ohio State game is not MSU basketball. I miss the days of Allen Anderson, Trice, Draymond, Neitzel, etc. as seniors. 2, there is optimism with Jeremy Fears Jr. coming in as a freshman. Ohio State's freshman point guard, Thornton, had more maturity and composure than our experienced point guard. 3, let's see what happens in the NCAA, but I wouldn't be shocked if Hoggard is not on the roster next year based on the bench interactions between him and Izzo. I imagine Izzo knows he doesn't have to put up with this crap with Fears Jr. coming in. As a junior, you are who you are.
These are our Hopcat hot takes of the day. Best Damn Beer Bar, world-famous Cosmic Fries, mouth-watering, award-winning burgers, including the Peyton Thorne burger. No matter where he is on the depth chart, they've got the Peyton Thorne burger, and we'll see if another quarterback overtakes him, whether they add another burger to the list. Each location, carefully curated craft beer list with local partners, so every place. Grand Rapids feels like a Grand Rapids pub. East Lansing like a Lansing pub. Detroit like a Detroit pub. You get it. I could just keep naming cities here. Great place to watch the games this weekend. Sit there, enjoy the Peyton Thorne burger, and enjoy their great beer selection. Enjoy the ambiance on their many TVs. Grab a pint with friends. And I don't even think it's an annoying place on St. Paddy's Day. So if you're looking to avoid the Irish on Friday and watch the games, Hopcat, great place to avoid the Irish. I don't know if they want that tagline. Maybe we'll fix that in post. Todd, these are really good though. And for Todd, we'll get the $20 gift card to Hopcat, by the way, for these hot takes. Okay, so number 1 here. Sorry, I just hit my screen fresh. The seniors thing. I do think, and again, this is not every player is the same, but the fact that a lot of these guys are coming back, they aren't seniors. The 5th year, the COVID year, has sort of ruined the Trice running out of time sense of urgency storyline. Like if Walker is coming back next year, if Tyson Walker's coming back, if Malik Hall's coming back, right? They're not going to have this like this is it moment, and you can't fake that. It's like desperation if you need to win to make the tournament. Joey Hauser knows he's done after this year, so I think that might be some of that. When we get out of that zone of the 5th year, that will help that. The Jeremy Fears thing and Hoggard, there's no doubt that Hoggard drives his own nuts. We had a conversation around Hoggard, and I asked Hoggard specifically about what he was talking to Izzo about, and did he understand the cameras are on him when and he said, yeah, he's not happy with himself. It's just the way Hoggard looked. He's got we talk about bad resting bitch faces, so to speak, with like Jim Harbaugh and Caldwell and those guys. He's got a stupid-looking face. Like, Hoggard sometimes can look disinterested and disrespectful. It's not his best look. If he gets into the business world, he's going to want to work on that. But it's not that he does not care. It's not that he doesn't agree with Izzo. And one thing that was very clear that Izzo talked about was with Hoggard, and this is where he does not care about the Big Ten tournament. He is playing the long game. He was going to sit Hoggard's ass and chew him out for what he views the long game for this week and for next season. Hoggard's his guy next year, I really think. Now, that said, my sense is for a long time they thought, and they probably still think, that Fears can be a day one starter. But as the point guard over a senior, I don't see it. If Walker comes back, that creates some really interesting things. Hoggard is the guy. Now, as a junior, you are who you are. That is an interesting point because it shouldn't take this long, end of junior year, to have moments where you aren't entirely focused or dialed in or the best of yourself. This is a big tournament for A.J. Hoggard. I think a lot of his legacy and how he's viewed will come down to how he plays these next few games, or maybe just game.
Jeff Haddis next. Number 1, the Big Ten will prove its worth with the 4 Sweet 16 teams. 2, Mel Tucker having a revolving defensive line room is what will cost him 5-star talent when he needs it most. 3, the Lions will be last place in the NFC North next season.
There's no doubt replacing defensive line coaches regularly doesn't help you at a position that you really want 5-star talent, and it's hard to get it. There's no question about it. Last place team in the NFC North for the Lions. That is a hot take of negativity that we don't need.
Even with Rodgers going to the Jets now?
Yeah, I mean, look at the quarterback situations. Now, the Bears might get a little bit better. They made some moves.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just laughing at the Bears?
Yeah, I just did that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It just happened.
Dominic's going to come after your ass.
Just picking Fields over everybody else, huh? I like it. It'll be fun to play you guys.
Yeah.
Talking shit. Maybe. Number 1, this MSU team suffers from multiple personality disorder. They have no constant identity.
Yeah, they don't have the same identity they had most of the season. They eventually got an identity, I think, and it was but you're right. I mean, they were defending. They were, they had shooters. They had good guard play. They had an identity. Wasn't always a great identity. Didn't always work, but it did change late in the year. And then when it wasn't there against Ohio State, it was hard to see it. So you're right, and that's not a great thing heading into a tournament.
Nestle's Quick Hotel next. Number 1, all the best to Coach Merchant. Get well. 2, I know Charleston is the hot pick for a 12 over a 5, but give me Oral Roberts. Get it? 3, anything less than 45% from 3 and plus 5 rebounds, and state season will be over by the time I clock out Friday.
Yeah, I mean, I do think shooting a good percentage is important for this team. I don't know. I do think that USC is a team they might be able to lock up and get to shoot a poor percentage too. They might be able to win a rock fight against USC. I'm curious to see this. I've tried to watch a little bit of USC since the pairings. Because I'll be honest, I hadn't watched them all year until this. I don't watch nearly as much college basketball. Not once I discovered Mexican soccer and my wife moved back home. Like, this is why I couldn't do the AP poll anymore. I don't like 5 years ago I would have seen all sorts of USC all year. Oral Roberts over Duke. I like the way Duke's playing though. I know it's a popular pick. What do they won, like 9 in a row? I don't know. I
like the spread. I think Duke still wins the game.
Yeah, I do too.
Nick Palmer next. Number 1, Memphis over Purdue. Book it. 2, Carmo will catch up with Alabama. 3, still don't know how Nate Oates became a bad guy.
I don't think he is a bad guy. I think he's just a really bad
he never thought he would be in the situation, so he doesn't know how to act.
Bad PR manager of himself. Yeah, it just and it comes across as slimy and smarmy, and it's not great. There's no question.
Where's the athletic director at? Kind of helping him, guiding him. I mean, what is happening there?
It's not been, well, the problem is his earliest comments sort of stuck with him. You make one mistake, and even if you're trying to catch up for it, you sound insincere.
We all make mistakes, though. But if you keep doing it, and your team looks terrible, where Greg Gumbel is calling you out on the bracket show.
That's when the show that's sponsoring you, like if Skyman came on here and just started calling us out left and right, it would be.
I mean, Greg wasn't wrong, but made it kind of awkward there, Gumbel.
Yeah, for sure. Memphis over Purdue is popular. I'm picking Purdue in that game if Memphis gets past Florida Atlantic, but certainly that's the type of game with Memphis's guards and they can pressure him that you could just see, like it's built in quintessential Purdue problem right there. No.
Isn't it brutal though if you look before people tell you who they're picking and you do some research and you find out a pick you like and then you find out 2 people, it's like their lock of the century, and you despise them and you're like, shit.
What pick is that?
Oh, I don't have one. I was just saying, hypothetically. Yeah. Jarrett with his upset picks. Number 1, Oral Roberts beats Purdue in the Sweet 16 because they have a guy that's 7'5". 2, Colgate or Vermont to win their matchup in the first round. And 3, Kent State over Indiana. And bonus, everybody's favorite. Take Penn State, Northwestern, and MSU have the best chance to reach the Elite 8 for the Big Ten. Jared, are you in a bracket pool yet? Because would you like to join?
Yeah, come in ours.
Join ours and another one I'm in. $20.
That Penn State Texas A&M game is interesting. The Kent State over Indiana is too popular. I like Indiana as the Big Ten team. Maybe that'll make the longest run just based on their bracket and the teams they're going to absolutely run into. I do think there are interesting games. Like Vermont, I'm curious to see Vermont Marquette. And I say that now, Marquette will just obliterate them. But I don't think that's a sure thing.
Tyler next. 3-team parlay for Thursday, Graham, and 3-team parlay for Friday, Jason. Let's hear it.
We'll do this right after the break. What a tease, huh? That's
wow.
Yeah, really good work by me. We'll be right back.
Don't fast forward.
Yeah, don't fast forward. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels.
Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox High Quality Flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to the best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts. Guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Michigan. Hopcat is proud to be an official supporter of Peyton Thorne. Show your Spartan pride by ordering the iconic Peyton Thorne burger, created by the man himself. And don't forget about Spartan basketball. Hopcat is your pre-game headquarters for basketball all season long. Catch the game at any of our locations: East Lansing, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, and Holland. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit www.hopcat.com.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring all of us to feel better, look better, and be better every damn day of our lives. Some great deals going on right now at Skymint. Go to skymint.com to check out your nearest location and the daily specials, and they'll email them right to you. Some fantastic stuff, and we may have some new stuff going on with Skymint in the coming weeks, some new offers through Couch in the Rube. And our Tuesday night show, presented by our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels. That's gomuskox.com. Check out the latest flannels there, including their spring flannel edition. The 3 Seasons flannel Vintage Sky is next on my list. Again, matches the eyes, makes me look good. I always look good in a a sky blue, a little bit of taupe. Fair enough. So to Tyler's question, 3-team parlay for Thursday. For Thursdays, and we're going to get into our picks later with Harry overall, presented by the Firekeepers High Casino and Sportsbook app. I like Northwestern minus 1.5, maybe by the half point if your book lets you do it against Boise State. Is one. I also I like Lafayette plus 11.5 against Tennessee a fair bit. That would be my other one. Those are the two I really like on Thursday. and I would probably parlay something into Friday. But if I've got to go with a 3-teamer on Friday,
I think that's where you asked me what you do Thursday. I do
Sorry,
Friday. You can still give yours.
Yeah, I don't really have another game I like a lot on Thursday than those. So what would be? I guess if I had to go on, it would be Duke -6 against Oral Roberts. Go against the popular upset pick, but that's not a game I'm playing. But if you ask me for a three-teamer on Thursday, that would be my 3. What's your Friday?
So one of your 3 is one you're not going to play.
Correct.
Okay. Vermont plus 10.5 versus Marquette. I think Marquette wins that game, but Vermont covers the 10 and a hook. Memphis money line, Florida Atlantic, and Kent State plus 4.5. Indiana wins by 2. Kent State covers.
I like Indiana covering the other way.
All right.
I do.
Well, let me just close this out then. I'll cash that out. All right.
Yeah. So that's where we are on this.
A guy that gave one of his picks was one that he's not going to bet. JD, number 1, MSU and Duke will meet for a chance to play in the Final Four once again. 2, Go Couch going full Wojo to pander to the Michigan fan base about their half wins. As a reminder, all media members still bow to the Block M. This is tongue-in-cheek. 3, March snow is complete ass. I think we've gotten more snow in the last 3 days than we did for December and January combined.
You know what works really well when you get March snow?
Muskox
high-quality flannel.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's multiple seasons, got the 3-season flannel coming out. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Go visit gomuskox.com/spring for their latest flannel collections. Spring snow is total ass. I was so here's the thing on the overtime stuff. I'm not saying you would rather have an overtime loss on the road than an overtime win at home. Of course, you'd rather win the game. But what is more impressive is what I was saying, is to go to overtime on the road, win or lose, than go to overtime at home, win or lose. Because it's not even like in all sports, Vegas gives you 3 or 4 points. In college basketball, the home road is really worth 7, 10. I don't know. It's worth a lot. And you've made more hay. You've done more growth. You've earned more in an overtime loss on the road than you do in an overtime loss at home. And that was my only point about that stuff. But it was hard to describe on Twitter. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, but I don't really even think it's debatable, which is probably the worst thing to say, because when you tell people that's not even debatable, then you just sound like a jackass, which I'm pretty good at doing.
Professor, with just one apparently. To the guy at the office, nobody cares about your bracket. Talking yourself up because you picked better than Phyllis in accounting, who has never watched a game in her life, does not make you an expert. This is 100 times more brutal if you fill out multiple brackets and still brag.
Yeah.
I won it last year.
Yeah, I won.
1 out of 6 ain't bad.
I won the WILX pool the first year that I knew my wife, because she had worked there and she was in the pool, and they never invited me back.
Did you get to hang out with the dean?
Nope, they never invited me back to the pool.
No, that's Channel 6 that has the pool.
This is WILX. This is the
Channel 10 doesn't have a pool, though. I work there.
I'm talking NCAA tournament pool.
Oh! Now, Channel 6 actually has a pool, though.
A pool in the...
I thought you got invited to the pool.
No.
As a prize for winning
the bracket contest. When I first met...
I don't know your stories sometimes. Sorry.
Yeah.
My bad. I thought you went to an actual pool.
Well, they do actually have a pool in Channel 6, which is weird because it was built in case
it was someone's house, yeah.
Well, no, the idea was if television stations failed, they were going to turn it into a hotel or something. I don't know, whatever it was back in the old days. But
still standing.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But yeah, so
misheard that.
I don't know where that story was going.
So I heard you won the bracket.
Yeah, story not worth telling, presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue in downtown Lansing, which, by the way, also a good place to watch games. So if you like workday downtown Lansing, I've got a couple hours. I'm going to play hooky. I'm telling you right now, Midtown Brewing Company, great spot to go watch some NCAA tournament basketball, enjoy a beer in their fantastic menu.
Kevin from Rochester Hills, number 1, real programs decline NIT invites. 2, MSU will go further in the tournament than Purdue because of AJ. 3, Graham, Solari, Johnny Spirit, and One Ball Bainey will have drinks after the game on Friday while FaceTiming the Rube.
That would be a night.
I'm not answering.
Yeah, that would be the whole hiccup in that thing.
I'll talk to One Ball.
Jason would not pick up.
Well, if you tell me there's Johnny Spirit on there, I got to,
If it's Johnny Spear and Solari, Solari hates Johnny Spear.
That's true. Yes,
you want to see that.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, that is like I would be part of that just for the enjoy, just to watch Solari just melt down on Johnny Spear. I would be there for sure. MSU might go further than Purdue, not just because of AJ, but because Purdue has to face a Memphis team that might be a bad matchup.
DMB next. Number 1, the committee should seed teams, then randomly draw the brackets. 2, we need a couch 30 for 30 on the Red Panda. 3, if the tourney was a best of 5 or 7 game series, I would like the Spartans odds.
Yeah, this was in consideration for the Hopcat hot take of the day because this is these are good. So the idea that the committee could see the teams then randomly draw the brackets, I actually like this idea because I like the idea of being in random places. Now, financially, it doesn't make sense, and you want to reward top teams for, by geographically giving them an edge. But I do like the randomness. Like you give the seeds, and then you go random, and I think it would be fun that way if that was the way it did. 5 or 7 game series, the thing would take. Can you imagine how long that thing would take? 6 rounds, 5 to 7 games. Whew.
No, I can't imagine.
It'll be longer than the regular season.
Sports Guy 1919. Number 1, National College Basketball Media loves to hype up mid-majors and try to go to battle for them, saying they're underseeded. 2, MSU blowing the game against Iowa hurt them, cost them the number 3 seed in the Big Ten tournament, which would have cost them a number 6 seed in the NCAA tourney and an easier path.
These two are really good. Couple things. The mid-major thing, though, I buy into the idea that they get underseeded, and because they've been doing it for years and years and years. The committee doesn't know what it's looking at with basketball. The best example of this ever was Butler basketball. The first year they went to the Final Four. And if you listen to Jay Billis and Billy Packer and every numbnut out there, early on in that tournament, they would be like, boy, this is amazing considering, the roster's difference and how many more pros the other team has and how they're doing this. The little guy. That Butler team had 2 longtime NBA pros on it, one who's still in the league, and then a top 100 center recruit. That Butler team had more long-term NBA pros than anybody else in the Final Four that year. Or maybe it was anybody else they played. I forget the stat. It was an impressive stat. I don't remember it. But point is, looking at them, because of their brand, people thought they sucked. And that wasn't the case. They thought they were overachieving. They were better talent-wise than most of the teams that they were actually facing. And you see that time and time again. Teams that are, even if they aren't as good talent-wise, are cohesive, have had great seasons. And I don't know. So I disagree with that point. I do agree that blowing the game against Iowa hurt them because it not only, I think it would have done more for a 6 seed in the NCAA tournament, not only, regardless of what happened in the Big Ten tournament, winning on the road at Iowa.
Mike Scott next. Number 1, this MSU team was a disappointment. Too much talent to play like ass down the stretch of games. 1 win is best scenario. 2, Graham, you cannot claim a team is playing well and they lose a bunch of games, OT or not. Good teams win. Bad teams lose. # Blue Wall. 3, gents, I think you might be able to get, or you both might be able to get 10-day contracts with the Pistons. With all the tie injuries, I'd pay to see that. Graham dunks attempts and this fucking sentence.
Sorry,
Graham's dunk attempts. That was my fault. Graham's dunk attempts and Jason rifling passes and shots off the backboard. You'd fit right in with that team. Bonus: West Ham is ass.
West Ham is ass. Yeah, the Pistons are a tough watch these days.
That would be funny if you could play on the Pistons, but not Moneyball. We somehow finagle the way to get you on the Pistons.
On the Pistons for just a 10-day
game.
Yeah, something like that.
Like Master P did back in the day.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna. The team can be playing well. Like Michigan was absolutely playing well for a while. They were absolutely playing well. They were, and I know people don't want to see that. And when it comes from a Detroit Free Press columnist, and people are upset by it. But I mean, Windsor is not a blue wall dude. He's like his kid is half like some sort of manager on the Michigan State team. He's closer to Izzo than he is Juwan Howard for sure. It's just, I don't know. It's the way he saw it. You can disagree with the column, but it's not blue wall in any stretch. I thought they were playing well at that point.
Chuck Vindaloo next. Number 1, Malik Hall needs to be shut down for the year. His play is hurting the team, and it's getting worse rather than better. 2, I'm rooting for some type of crazy nonsense to happen in the MSU-USC game to kickstart some hatred between the schools before USC joins the Big Ten. 3, it really seems like Tom Izzo, setting the record for most consecutive NCAA tournaments by a head coach, isn't getting the attention it deserves on a national level. Proud of the tournament streak. It's a special privilege to watch our school go dancing every year.
Here's the thing about it. I think it is getting some pub. It's gotten, I don't know where you look specifically to see it. And I know, like I thought about doing more on it, and I am working on a column that would have been up today, but I paused it to do the Susie Merchant piece. But I am going to do a piece looking at where Michigan State is sort of the last 5-10 years compared to other major programs. Like, have they really fallen off relative to other people? Or has it just been relative to what Michigan State was and where they really rank in the country as a more recent program? And one of the things is it got pushed so hard, though. If you're a writer and you're going to do a story on the 25-year thing, you want to kind of do a story that not everybody's telling. But when they bring out the 25s, all those signs at the selection show, when it's getting pushed out on social media constantly, when sort of the fan media is just one after another, it's a little off-putting. It's like, okay, that story's been told. We all get it. And so I would say that if you want more national people to recognize it, you put it in their ear without pumping it up so much. So because it feels a little bit like if you tell the Izzo 25-year story right now, you're just participating in the propaganda. That's what it feels like. That's what it does. And so I'm looking for, I think it is an incredible stat. I mean, I grew up here. I remember when I think it's a really hard thing to do, and I want to get into that a little bit through a different angle because I think it's impressive. I think it's incredible. But what is the column? What is the story? You can go back and talk about its consistency. I've written that column many times. Like, what story do you tell? And I think the real cool stories are the early year stuff, but I've done a lot of that, and or the years that they almost got left out or things like that. But yeah, to your point, it's fair, and I can understand wanting, because it is a bigger deal than maybe it's made or understood everywhere.
Mojo Jojo, number 1, there isn't an easy or obvious heir apparent to Izzo, and we need to be okay with that and let it ride. 2, the Lions should have made a bigger push for Jalen Ramsey. Finn's got him for a song. 3, no idea what's going on with Hogard. Anyone read lips? But needs to get his shit together.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal. I don't. Now, I think it's a big deal when playing well, but I don't think what happened there, I think it looked worse than it actually was. I don't think what the conversation between Izzo and Hogard was that big a deal on its own. I think the problem AJ has is sometimes he forgets he's on, and he kind of said it, you forget the camera's on there. He said he didn't expect it to go quite so viral,
Chris Solari staring at you through binoculars every twitch. Yeah, you got to remember that.
You do have to remember that. That's not why it went viral, but yeah.
But seriously, if you're 20 years old and you get yelled at all the time playing basketball, every once in a while you're just going to be like, whatever.
And there is no obvious heir apparent to Izzo. I think we know that at this point. And the problem is, in terms of wanting an heir apparent, is you just don't know when Izzo is going to be done. If it's another 5-6 years, the landscape could look totally different. Like, just think about Drew Valentine for a second. A year ago, people were like, boy, that guy would be a great heir apparent for Izzo. This year, they sucked. And they weren't even in that good a league, even though The Athletic wrote one story that made it sound like the Atlantic 10 was the NBA in moving from the Missouri Valley. But who knows? In 4 years, he could have that thing back rolling, and it's like, oh, wait a sec, Drew Valentine. That makes a ton of sense. So I think you're right. You just got to kind of stop looking at it and trust that when the time comes, you'll have the right people in leadership, and there will be some obvious choices. Because every year it's different. Who's available and who would want that job. And the Michigan State job is going to be a coveted job for sure.
Ken Chu next. Number 1, A.J. Hogard plays better when his teammates hit shots. 2, Aaron Rodgers signing with the Jets could bring an end to the darkness retreat industry. 3, the Big Ten replaced their stupid-looking basketball tourney logo with another stupid-looking logo.
Aaron Rodgers to the Jets.
Yeah.
Weird. I can't picture it. But
why? Brett Favre did it.
That's true.
It was weird then, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Yeah, okay, get him out of the Lions division. Love it.
I kind of want him to stay, though.
Do you?
Yeah. I feel like we're turning the corner and
don't you want
his ass last year.
I mean, that's the thing, though. That's the final. That's the lasting memory. That's the you slayed the dragon and he left town.
Yeah.
Right?
I guess. Kurt Wisniewski, number 1. Spartan basketball will make it to the Sweet 16 on Aikens and Walker's backs. 2, make or break spring season for Spartan football. There's no question positions are not finalized. Compete to play, compete to stay. I'm talking to you, Peyton Thornberger. 3, no sadness for Michigan basketball in the NIT.
So,
I'm not talking about Michigan.
Let's go to number 2, Spartan football. I do think you never know in a spring. I do think this is an important spring. I think it's an important year for the program to keep, to feel like there is development within players. I don't know how much different the record has to be, but you want to feel like there's progress. Like the offensive line, young guys are taking steps. Like you found your next quarterback if it's not Peyton Thorne. Like that's the one thing is if all things are equal, I think you go with a younger guy because you're trying to build into something, right? And so you want to see the defense finally have some strengths where you go, that's something you can hang your hat on. Hey, they're pretty good that way. That they're tough to throw against. Those two guys are pretty good. You want to start seeing some things. And so I don't know. I mean, the spring is we won't know in the spring because there's no wins and losses and whatnot. But I do think that this is an important stretch.
Matt Venny, next. Number 1, without Jaden Reed on the field, this season will be prove-it time for Peyton Thorne. He may have the leadership and work ethic, but probably not the talent and will not be starting at the end of the season. 2, I'm starting to believe that Tucker's injury responses of he's still sore and he'll be ready when he's ready is being purposely used to spite Graham. It's essentially the football edition of Don't Coach My Team. 3, so far, D'Antonio's spring games have been more entertaining and fan-friendly than Tucker has. If Tucker wants to deliver the program he promised fans when he was hired, this has to change. And bonus, Sean Windsor, Nostradamus.
What did Windsor predict? I can't remember. Maybe he's maybe making something up here. The Tucker injury stuff. I wish this time of year he's just a little more forthcoming. There's just no game to be played. It's his right to be that way. But
why change now?
Yeah, no, it's fair. Look, it is prove it time for Peyton Thorne is now. It's in the spring. I'll be curious to see where the battle is at the end of the spring, if there's separation, if any quarterbacks leave or stay. Part of me thinks I'd be surprised if all 4 guys are back in the fall. But if I'm Mel Tucker and the staff, I don't want, I want to have an idea, but I don't want the players to know. Like I want all 4 of those guys back in the fall, unless it's clear. Like if Caton Hauser is just the best guy by leaps and bounds this spring, and Peyton Thorne knows it, and he goes somewhere else or something, and then you got your guy, and you've got 2 young guys, or you got I can't imagine Noah Kim stick. I'll be very curious if all 4 guys stick. That would be surprising to me.
Spartan 18770 with just one take, and he says, "You're welcome, Jason. I appreciate you." 2025 will be the year that everything comes to be a dramatic conclusion for MSU athletics. 5 years of Tucker and 2 years of Izzo's highly touted recruiting classes. What will the results be? Will it be a golden age for MSU sports or a letdown?
Yeah, 2025, I've said, is a big year by then for MSU basketball, MSU football. The next couple years for MSU basketball could be really interesting. It's right. It's the hard thing to predict. I mean, if you had to, it's so hard to do what Mel Tucker's trying to do, which is take a program to the next level, and we're seeing it. It's hard to keep recruits. It's hard to keep coaches. It's just not. You can put resources in it. You can do a lot of things. You're dealing with the minds of 17-year-old kids and convincing them that your program is better than some other program that's maybe more established. Hard to do. So you'd have to bet against it. But I think by then we'll know if it's going to work for him.
Chris Eastlick next. Boo. Number 1, the complaining about the time change is ridiculous. It's 1 hour. Do you not travel to other time zones? 2, the Ohio State performance is exactly why I'm skeptical of this team making a run. When the three isn't falling or someone defends the line, what's the strategy? 3, AJ might be the most frustrating player I can remember. The ability is there, but the focus doesn't seem to last more than 2 games in a row.
Time zone changes bother you or not?
Time zone changes?
Not time zone changes. Sorry, the spring forward, spring back.
Well, yeah, I like to complain about it just because.
Yeah, right.
That's
what we do.
Leave the time the whole. I would rather have daylight late into the day the whole time. I hate it being 5 o'clock, especially in the winter here, and it's just ass. I don't know.
I'm
over it now.
I'm totally with him on number 2. Like that's the problem. Is it is hard to win game after game after game with jump shooting, and we've seen that this year. They got hot for a little while, and maybe they can get hot for a few more games in a row. And there are advantages for finally getting out of the league, but when you don't get easy buckets around the rim, it's a hard way to play. They're going to need, for them to make a run. There were some unsung performances by both Sissoko and by Jackson Kohler at times when they were playing really well late in the year that helped turn a run from 5-0 into 12-0 with a bucket somewhere in the middle there. And they're going to need those two guys to play well at times. They don't have to be more than they are, but they need those guys to play well. Kohler looked like he was in over his head at the Big Ten tournament. Like all of a sudden, he missed a bad layup at a key time. Sissoko had some moments where he's dropping passes again. Like those things are going to, if you can avoid those things at key moments and get the best out of them, maybe you survive the game where you're not playing as well. And then Michigan State needs to lean into. I think they do need to lean into runs, and we talked about the substitution stuff. They had it rolling there for a minute in the second half, and every time they did that, they made a small substitution that changed, or they made a dumb play on the other end. Tyson Walker hits a 3 on the other end, gives up an and one. Like you got to get that stop at the key time, and so you can survive those games if you do all those little things, and they didn't do them against Ohio State.
Sparty Ben next. Number 1, have to win versus USC. No excuse not to. 2, if they get past USC, I like the chances of them to get to the Elite 8. 3, is it just me or is it frustrating that Tuck won't give any updates on injuries during the offseason? I get it during the season, but it's the tell us what's wrong with Darius Snow.
Yeah, I mean, with Snow, it's like, he had a serious injury, a very serious injury at the beginning of the year. So it's very likely he wasn't going to be back in full contact. I think it's okay to say that. I think it is a little frustrating, just sort of this idea that this secretive, world that and I get it game week. There's gamesmanship in the spring. And I understand if a player doesn't want the information out there, but ask the player. Like there's no point in being really secretive in the spring. But again, this is not a Mel Tucker thing. This is a football coach thing. And there are a lot of coaches who just don't share updates, and that is what it is.
R. Ricky next. Number 1, 2-hour couch and the Rubes are way too short. No, they're not. 2, can Skymint do an NIL deal with AJ Hoggard? And 3, why has Darius Snow's knee taken so long to heal, Dr. Couch?
Well, we just got into that. It was a pretty severe knee injury, more than just an ACL or whatnot. But I was thinking about Skymint the second I saw Hoggard on the bench. I was like, this is the deal we need to get worked with Skymint. Some deal with Hoggard. And I don't know. Hoggard might be up for it. Just a guess.
Will Skymint be? Carl, number 1, State makes it to the Sweet 16 and then blown out by Kentucky. 2, our bench is brutal. Pierre, Kohler, Trey, Hall have been non-factors. The lack of development brings me concern for next year. 3, Graham will move to the Detroit media and become the next great Mason of the Blue Wall. It will be the greatest betrayal since LeBron to Miami.
Yeah, I don't see it happening. I've chosen this city. I've staked my flag here.
Mason, the announcer guy for the Pistons?
No, Mason, like a mason. Like a masonry. Like,
well, you capitalized Mason, so I thought it was his name.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying. Like a mason.
I didn't at the time. Now I know.
Yeah, right. So hold on. The bench is brutal. Let's get into number 2 here. Pierre, Kohler, Trey, and Hall have been non-factors. Lack of development brings concern. A couple things. I think Trey Holloman's had a pretty good freshman year for who he is, and they've been able to count on him at certain times. Now, is he good enough to be what Ohio State's freshman guards are? No. But I think he's had a decent freshman year. I don't think that's been a problem. Malik Hall, I don't think, is healthy. I think his back's hurting him, other things. So I don't put that on that. Kohler has gotten a lot better. I mean, Kohler, they couldn't survive with Kohler on the floor at the beginning of the year. He's got a ton better. So I disagree on the development. Pierre Brooks is one where there's no question, and that has been a disconnect with Izzo and what Brooks needs. At this point, I would be surprised if Pierre Brooks is back next year.
Cracker Sofa. Number one, I made this Twitter account because I wanted to join in on the community that I've been listening to for a year. You two have curated a great culture with a good mix of local and national sports, but I fucking hate Twitter. 2, while disappointing the loss to Ohio State it wasn't shocking. There were 2 games in, had just played it 6 days prior, and our shooting had to come down to earth eventually. Rather happened last Friday than this Friday. 3, having a kid in early March is pretty sweet for a college basketball fan. My daughter was born last week, and I have 3 weeks of paternity leave and vacation to enjoy all the March madness I could want. Highly recommend unprotected sex in late June, early July. I'm happily married for 5 years, and this is our second child. You still have protected sex when you're married?
That was your takeaway?
Really? Yeah, dude. What?
So
that's the whole point of getting married. It's to have unprotected sex. What is this shit? What's he talking about?
His point is,
well, I get his point. I don't get the point about putting on a condom.
Maybe
you're married.
Maybe your wife's on the pill, and that's what he means, or something like that.
All right.
Right? So
I don't.
His point is, if you're going to have a child, March is an awesome time to have paternity leave. So he's trying to time it 9 months out. He's saying it's a good time to try to have a child. That's what is all.
It's
not
saying. Worth a kid, though.
It's a little bit worth it. It's good advice. But the problem for me is I'd be on the road covering Michigan State anyway. So then my wife would just be pissed off. So now I have to keep in mind that I can't have sex in June and July anymore. Fuck.
Alex James, number one. I don't know how to pronounce this dude's name. Duque Hebert is the most exciting Tiger signing.
We'll go with that.
Since Prince Fielder in 2012. Probably not close. 2, Akins declares for the NBA draft alongside Hauser, Walker, and Hall. Pierre Brooks transfers. 3, post-Coach K. Duke succeeding is encouraging for MSU, which faces similar scenario in 2026.
Well, they had the right guy, and he was on their bench, or it looks like. Who knows? I mean, North Carolina looked like they had the right guy last year, and then who knows now. Akins, I mean, this is hot stuff. Akins declares for the NBA draft alongside Hauser, Walker, and Hall. Brooks transfers. Hall's coming back. Walker is not an NBA. I mean, he's not. I mean, but Akins for the NBA draft. I think Akins is a smart kid who understands he can be an NBA prospect, but he needs another year to do it. And so I would be very, very surprised if he were to do that.
Gavin, number one, Michigan State either loses in the first round to USC or cruises to an Elite Eight. A non-Power 6 first-round matchup would have been preferred, but MSU still has the most favorable side of the bracket with the worst 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds in the tournament. 2, the Big Ten tournament might be the most fun sporting event I've gone to. Went to Session 4 on Friday to watch Purdue versus Rutgers and MSU versus Ohio State. The atmosphere was fun. The stadium was full. The games were good. It's cool seeing all the fan bases together. 3, the Lions will control the NFC North for at least the next 5 years. The only team that can truly challenge them over the next 5 years is surprisingly the Bears. Brad Holmes has nailed every move he's made so far in his tenure, and he showed no signs of stopping.
The Lions have made some interesting signings here in secondary, and I like the linebackers. I like what they're doing. I don't know if any of these guys are going to make them considerably better, but it seems like they're making moves on defense. They're making moves like a team that wants to be a playoff team and in the hunt next year, a team that smells an opportunity in their division.
What if Jared Goff starts off the way he started off last year, like this year? I know everybody was really hyped, excited about Goff this year. Some claiming he's the best quarterback in the North, I guess. But where's the fan base going to be if he starts off like shit?
Yeah, and the problem is you're at this point you're probably married to him. So I think that the idea is he's got one more year. Like next year, he's got to prove that they don't need to go get a guy next year in the draft. Because his contract's getting to the point where they're going to have to make a decision on him as well. Like, what do you do? You pay him a lot more, and I'd be more inclined. I've said it before. He's got to be really, really good to not be more intrigued by the idea of having somebody on a rookie salary scale and what that allows you to do the rest of the roster.
G.E. Miller, number 1, MSU will hit 60% of their threes against USC and win by 20. 2, MSU will miss 80% of their threes against Marquette and lose by 20. 3, no scoring threat down low is okay for 1, maybe even 3 games in a row, but it's not going to get you through 6. This team deserved better.
When you watch Julius Marble, and again, I didn't know, he's been better this year than I thought. But again, people grow into their senior years. There's no doubt. You put Julius Marble on this team, he was a guy offensively. I think his weaknesses were defense. But I think offensively he would have made a huge, huge difference.
Travis Maynard next. Number 1, a team's record is only as good as their wins and losses came against. Kansas can eat shit, but they got absolutely hosed by the committee. 17 Q1 wins is unreal. 2, sure, St. Mary's might be a good basketball team, but they own just 2 Q1 wins and suffered 2 Q3 losses. How in the world does that resume earn them a 5 seed? The committee should implement a 5 seed or lower qualifier of at least 4 Q1 wins. Just 2 is ass. Get in the back of the line. 3, Izzo is my literal blood. He's my GOAT. I love the man, and I'd follow him anywhere. But the pre-planned player rotations make me want to rage tweet my thumbs through the phone screen. Twice against Ohio State, we shut off our own water barely 3 minutes into each half. It's time to shorten the bench. Love you, cuz. # don't coach my team.
It was a game where Izzo and his staff and their rotations were absolutely part of the problem. And what would have been interesting is if they had made different choices in a game that wasn't going their way, would have it been enough? And I don't know, because they made a couple runs. I tend to think not the way that game was going, the way Ohio State was sort of dug in and hitting shots. But it would have been interesting to see Ohio State's reaction if Michigan State ties that game, given what Michigan State's been all year and what some of the struggles that Ohio State has had. My other idea for the tournament is this. I don't mind having a minimum on Q1 wins and stuff, although the net rankings sometimes get ignored by the committee. I also think that if you win, and they don't really use the RPI anymore, but whatever you want to use like that, if you're in a top 12 RPI league and you win the league, the regular season title, you are no lower than a 7 seed, period, because that would play itself out, trust me, most of the time. That's where you belong. You shouldn't be any lower than that. I don't care if you're a mid-major. You've won. It's hard to win on the road in college basketball. You're going to lose some conference games to teams that have low net rankings and all that stuff because it's in league play. To me, I would that was the way I would definitely put something in play like that.
We got to get to Harry here,
okay. Let's what do we have here? A little pre-planned. We're so close. What
he's like, where are we? When are we doing this? So I don't want. If you don't mind, if you want to skip it, then I guess we skip it. But
no,
he's got to do it now.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll get back to these hot takes in a little bit. We'll come back. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, SpotlightMediaStudios.com.
Couch in the Rue, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and our friends at Muskox High Quality Flannels. It is time now to pick the games, presented by Firekeeper's iCasino and Sportsbook app. And, of course, to do that, we have the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, BestBetCorner.com, and ExtraPoints.com. Harry, brother, how you doing?
All good, guys. What's happening? We ready?
I think so.
Wait, before we do this, though, I just talked to Harry on the phone to get him on the show, and he said, I've been making videos today for my brand. I barely have any bets in. But then he named some random tennis thing he needs tonight. So what is this for your brand thing?
Oh, just trying to get a little bit bigger, trying to get other gigs, other radio shows, TV shows, who knows what.
Damn.
Just trying to make more money for more parlays, Jay?
Just remember who we are. That's all we ask.
Yes, absolutely.
If we see you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, don't forget about us.
Love
Harry.
you guys.
All right.
No doubt about it.
So
So
we can do this a number of ways. Let's do this first. Let's do our let's kind of go through our regions, like who we like to come out of each region, and then we'll work back to the games.
Okay.
And top underdogs and games we really like in round one. My final four is UConn, which I know is UConn, Arizona, Purdue, and Iowa State.
Wow.
Yeah, does that not sound so?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I was looking a lot at Iowa State myself, and I couldn't pull the trigger on that one, Graham. But I hear you on that. They played Baylor well this year, and they didn't play well great down the stretch overall. But I looked at them as a possibility.
I like them as a weird run team. Yeah. So I have. Indiana is probably my best Big Ten team other than Purdue making a run. I like Indiana, made it to the Elite Eight. I think Houston, they can beat Houston. And there's an injury situation at Houston I don't love. And Purdue, it's sort of an against the grain thing. Everybody thinks Purdue's going to lose. And it's too much. There's too much Purdue's going to lose on there. I'm going to go against it. It's sort of like fading the public. And so that's why I like Purdue finally getting to a Final Four where they'll lose to Arizona. I've got Arizona falling to UConn national champions. Jason, what do you got?
Wow, what a bracket. South, I have Arizona. East, Kentucky. John Calipari, I'm trusting him.
Wow.
In March, baby. The Zags, Gonzaga, I just can't pick against them. I wanted to pick UCLA in my gut feel bracket. I picked UCLA, but I got to go the Zags. And for the Midwest, Texas. And I have the Zags and Kentucky with Gonzaga winning. I don't feel confident about it. I need your guys' help.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to know any of this stuff, though. That's the thing. I mean, these are really hard. And this is as hard a year as ever. All right, Harry, what do you got?
Well, I will say this. I agree with you a bit, Graham. Like, Houston, the situation concerns me a little bit with the Sasser injury. UCLA's got a couple banged-up guys for Cronin. And Alabama, I don't know how much their off-court issues are going to play into this. So I went a little crazy here myself. I do have a 1 seed. I do have the defending champs. I do have Kansas making it. Bill Self is going to be back. Jalen Wilson's been fantastic. 21 points or more in 5 straight games. They got great quality non-conference wins against Duke, Indiana, Missouri. So I got Kansas. But then I get a little off the wall here. I'm going to take the 5 seed in Duke. I think they got screwed a little bit here in their seeding. No Coach K, so now I can actually root for Duke because I couldn't stand the rat. But they've won 9 in a row. If they get by the first-round game, they get Tennessee, who I don't like at all, who's lost 4 of the last 6. And I know you're on Purdue here, but I know that they were 4-4, just 4-4 down the stretch the regular season. I don't like Painter. I know they won the Big Ten title, but boy, it couldn't have worked out any better for them getting a 10 and a 13 seed in their last 2 games. So I'm going to take Duke there. I've got Kansas. How about Miami? Like I said, I looked at Iowa State, but I got Miami. I looked at Xavier too, but I don't like Sean Miller, so I'm going to go with the Hurricanes, who are 25-7 this year, 9-2 in their last 11. I love Isaiah Wong, who's averaging 16, 4-4 this year, and they got 4 players that are averaging 13 points or more. And my 4th Final Four, I gave this team out at the beginning of the season. They had a couple rough patches and still finish the season okay with over 20 wins. I got Creighton here. I just think overall here they got 5 scorers, guys, that average 12 or more. Trey Alexander's been on fire for the Blue Jays. He's averaging 18 over the last 4 games. So I'm going to take the Blue Jays.
Interesting. Yeah, wow. This is what I love, though. This is a hard year to have a cliche bracket, right? I mean, it really is difficult. I guess you could take chalk, but it feels like a really dumb year to take chalk.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is the year where, like, look, you could take chalk, you take Alabama, but and I know they're number 1 seed overall, but when's Alabama ever made a run in the tournament ever? So this is new territory for them too.
And they're going to have some weird energy against them too, Alabama. It's going to be interesting.
But why would you pick chalk? Point. Why would you pick chalk when all season long we've been? Is there really any team that stands out? And there hasn't been. So why would you go chalk? I guess.
Yeah, no, it's fair. Yeah, it's a good point. All right, let's go back to the games we like, the underdogs, the upsets, things of those in the first round. And I like Lafayette. I like the spread against Tennessee at plus 11.5. I don't hate the money line at plus 470. That is one of the games I'm a big fan of. I actually like Indiana minus 4, minus 4.5. A lot of people a little too popular, the Kent State pick, if you ask me. Depending on where you get that, I think it's minus 4 at the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. And like. I like MSU. I do. I like MSU minus 2 against USC. I think that's a good play. I like Kentucky minus 4 against a Providence team that probably thinks they're losing their coach. So there are a number of games that I like a fair bit, and I love Virginia is also an upset to lose a little bit. I'm not a big fan of this Cavaliers team. Jason, what do you really like out there?
Well, everybody's picking Charleston, but 12 seeds beat a 5 last year, so I have 2. The Charleston against San Diego State. San Diego State has to travel across the country to play Charleston, who's only lost 3 games this year. I know it was in the Colonial Conference, but still. Utah State, I like them. Money line against Missouri and Oral Roberts. I like the points. I don't think they're going to beat Duke, but I like the points. What do you got, Harry?
Well, Graham, I'm with you. I am all over the Furman Paladins plus the 5. Look, this team, 7th in the nation scoring, 18th in the nation in field goal percentage. 20 of their 27 wins, they scored 79 points or more. They got a guy, Mike Bothwell. We'll probably see him during the tournament have a big game. 12 straight double-digit games, 23 or more points in 3 of his last 4 games. And 7 of the last 9 games, this team, he shot 50% or better. And Virginia, just 4-3 in their last 7 games. 2 of those 3 losses were versus BC and North Carolina that didn't even make the tournament and scored just 49 points in their loss versus Duke on Saturday. So Furman plus the 5. And I'm going to take, I mentioned this on Against All Odds earlier this week. I'm going to take the best team right now in college basketball in the state of New York, and it's not Syracuse. It's not St. John's. It's not Buffalo. It's Colgate. Colgate plus the 13.5. I know you mentioned you like Texas, Jay, but I'll tell you what, this Colgate team, second in field goal percentage in the country, almost 52%. They are the first in the country in 3-point field goal percentage. 19th points scored in the country. There's not one of those slowdown teams. They score. They're 20-1 in the last 21 games. Their loss was by 1 point. 9 of those 11 wins by double digits. They have a guy named Tucker Richardson who averages 14, 5, and 5. I think, listen, Texas beat Kansas. This is perfect recipe for an upset because Texas may be a little full of themselves. They never make a run. They always choke. But they have beaten Kansas 2 times in the last week. I just think this is a setup here for Texas to have a big letdown. I like Colgate with the points a lot.
No, that's God.
I haven't heard that much about Colgate since the Donald Foyle.
I know. I'm excited all of a sudden. Yeah. It's going to be fun. And what's so funny about this is you can be you can feel these matchups are just different than anything we've seen. These you've got good low and mid-major teams that are going to face, that have been playing well, that feel good about themselves, playing high major teams in some cases. You've got teams from different leagues that have no idea about each other, and you just have no idea sometimes what the matchup is actually going to look like. Some great picks. I do think there's some value in some futures too. I kind of, I don't know. I kind of like Duke plus 750 out of the East, team that's playing really well. I think there's some value in. There's a couple, but there's not a lot of great value because there's so much parity. There's not a team that jumps at you that's playing really well. I do think, we've wanted Illinois to take off at some point. If they were to get going as plus 3,500 to win the region, that's a little bit of value on a team that you feel like might wake up. I don't know, maybe not. It's just we're looking for value plays here. I think there's some interesting stuff.
Well, you could make a point. I hear what you're saying, Graham, about Illinois because I didn't have a great Big Ten tournament for sure, but also last day of the regular season they were getting pounded by Purdue in West Lafayette, and what a comeback! They really came so close to pulling that game out. So they're capable of something like that.
Yeah, no, I look, I think one of the things is if you find live odds on the futures to win the region, as you start watching a team and you like them, jump on it because some of these things might take a minute to move. I think it's a really hard year to know what's what, and you might be able to get lucky with Michigan State, plus 1,500 to win the region. There's worse value in the world. If you want to, that's a Final Four pick for Michigan State. You could have got better value earlier, but still not the worst play in the world if you just want to have one bet on your team. Harry, where will you be watching the games?
Well, you know what? I am actually in Las Vegas right now. I'm at the Cosmopolitan. Had some fun outside today, messing around, making my way around the Strip. I will be here, by the way, guys. For any listeners of yours that will be in Las Vegas, I will be with Cousin Sal on Thursday and Friday at the Jimmy Kimmel Comedy Club right across the street from Caesar's Palace. We got a free watch party going on for the early games in the second, and the games right after that. So we're going to be partying for about 5 hours straight on Thursday and Friday. We'll be over there at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So any of your listeners, guys, that are going to be in Vegas, stop by, come over and say hey, and let's have some pictures. Let's take some pictures together. Let's win some bets together. Have a couple drinks and have a great time.
I'd rather be there than Columbus. That sounds like an amazing time. Harry, we appreciate you. We hope you win. Look forward to chatting with you next week.
Let's hit something, guys.
See you,
have
man.
fun.
That's the great Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, bestbetcorner.com and extrapoints.com. And those are our picks presented by Firekeepers Casino and the Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. We'll take one last break, come back, finish up with your hot takes. Some really good stuff still remaining. Couch in the Roof presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Muskox high-quality flannels.
Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com.
Christmas is around the corner and beautiful jewelry is on her Christmas list. So where will you go to buy that gorgeous diamond ring or that sparkly diamond necklace or that incredible diamond bracelet? Medawar Jewelers' 4 locations by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage have the largest selection and the latest designs of beautiful jewelry that she's been dreaming of. If an engagement ring is on your mind, come into Medawar Jewelers and let our professional staff explain to you all about natural and lab-created diamonds. Our diamonds are set by master jewelers whose passion for their art shows so clearly in each and every piece. So, for that perfect gift that's on her Christmas list, come into Medawar's by the Lansing Mall by Meridian Mall in Jackson and in Portage, and we'll help you find it.
Medawar Jewelers.
Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring all of us to look better, love better, feel better, bet better. And our Tuesday night show brought to you by Muskox Quality Flannels. Visit gomuskox.com. You can use the promo code CAW15 for $15 off your purchase. All right, let's get back to these hot takes, Jason.
Are we on Vargas?
We're on Vargas.
All
yep.
right. One, freshman Jordan Hall will overtake Cal Halliday for the starting linebacker job by week 1. 2, Peyton Thorne will be backup quarterback by week 1. 3, Jaden Akins will lead the MSU basketball team to a Sweet 16 run.
So here's the thing. If I'm Peyton Thorne and I'm not the starting quarterback and it's my final year likely of college football, do you ride it out as the backup? The one thing is you do have your COVID year, so you could probably, I think, go somewhere after this year.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
I
Do you
think
ride
you'd
it
have
out?
to get out of here.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
there is a chance that you could play through the season, but I don't know.
I think if you have a feel of it by the end of the spring, you go somewhere else, because there are teams where you could absolutely play. But the problem is if you feel like you're in the thick of things and this has been your team and you got a shot at it, you got to show up in August and win the job. And if you don't, you're just going to have to deal with it. And that's the hard reality of a quarterback where there's one position, one guy gets to play.
Doug Warren next. Number 1, the Lions have the NFC North's best quarterback, head coach, and general manager. 2, Sam Darnold will be the 49ers opening day starter. For real? 3, Daniel Barker and Jacob Slade are NFL players.
They both look the part. I think there's a chance. Slade looks like a prototypical tight end. Barker does. Sorry, I'm curious to see where he winds up. Yeah, Darnold signed with the 49ers. You see that?
Yeah, that's a hot take, though, to be the starter there.
Well, it depends who else. I mean, over
Purdy. I mean, is Trey Lance going to be back?
Well, that's the
possible.
question. It's an injuries thing. Yeah, so it could absolutely happen.
Mark, number 1. This has the makings of being the greatest relegation battle in Premier League history. 9 teams within 3 points of relegation. 2, Gio Reyna getting blackballed by U.S. Soccer going forward is going to be bigger than MJ freezing out Isaiah Thomas from the Olympics. The men's team can't absorb that loss. 3, the best hot takes are the unique ones that speak to only 3 people in your listening audience.
Appreciate you, Mark. You're absolutely right here. It is going to be an amazing relegation battle in Premier League soccer. Give me some Hoff here for 1 second.
Oh, boy.
So you have, right now, everybody from Crystal Palace on down. Crystal Palace, Wolves, Nottingham Forest, Everton, Leicester City, West Ham, Bournemouth, Leeds, and Southampton, all not completely safe. I think Wolves are going to be okay, but I think Everton's playing well enough they're going to keep out of there. But, yeah, no, it's going to be fat. And that's the best thing about European football in a lot of ways is they have these relegation battles. What's happening at the bottom of the standings is just as intense as what's happening at the top of the standings. And it makes for incredible theater, and we just, yeah, I mean, I don't know how you'd ever have that in this country because NBA owners would be like, there's no way in hell I'm getting relegated out of the NBA into something else, but it's pretty sweet in England.
Some dude next. Number 1, John Crispin and whoever the hell his partner was on Sunday is the best broadcast team there is. Respectfully, Robbie Hummel. 2, every single time the Spartans have had what felt like a must-win game this year, which feels like 6 or 7 times, they have won. So they will win on Friday. 3, Graham, I don't know shit about soccer, but I carefully played your weekend parlay. Not good, but thanks to you, my betting philosophy is solidified. Don't listen to anyone's fucking picks except your own. I've lost every time. Question, What is the best Lansing area Sunday brunch?
Oh, we're talking Midtown Brewing Company for sure. Yeah. Midtown Brewing Company, 402 South Washington Avenue. It was not a hot streak. It was a bad weekend of gambling. It was a horrible weekend, and sometimes those happen. And what killed me, what absolutely killed, like I was all over Chelsea in that one. That was a great play. But I had parlays with Manchester United, and the thing I wish didn't exist in soccer betting, or wish existed, was there's a thing called draw no bet, right? Where if there's a tie, the bet doesn't count, right? And you take a little extra juice for it. I wish there was a red card no bet, because it's a great bet with Manchester United against Southampton, and you get a really key player red carded and kicked out of the game. They're playing 10 on 11 most of the night. That sucks. I picked the right side. We were on the right side. It was maybe a horse shit call by the official, and in soccer it's a huge penalty. So that's what that was.
Andrew Gauthier, next. Number 1, this is the best tourney draw MSU has gotten in years. 2, Malik Hall needs to bring it consistently for MSU to make a deep run. Is he that guy? Saw 7 for the first time this weekend. Underrated movie. What's in the box? X's.
Have you seen 7?
No.
It's a great movie, but it's not.
If I did, it was like 2000. When did it come out?
Yeah, it's probably about that old, 20 years old, something like that. Yeah, but
it's been a while then.
You don't open the box. That would be what I would say.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well, it's not a movie I'm ever going to watch
it now.
I like Hallmark endings, so 7 is not that. Put it that way.
Mr. Benjen, number 1, this MSU team needs a run to set up next year with momentum and experience. At least a great showing versus the Fighting Shakas. 2, conversely, imagine being one and done in the Big Ten and NCAA tourneys, and then the players leaving. What's there to build off of?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that what happens in this NCAA tournament will matter a ton for next year, but it might. And I do think there is value in NCAA tournaments. There's value in being in the Sweet 16 and getting a taste of that and wanting it and being motivated by it, and having been there. So I think there's real value in getting to the second weekend.
Bruce Parker, number 1. Columbus is going to be East Lansing South, and MSU moves to the second week for the first time in years with the home crowd. 2, what one thing could derail the whole weekend, and why is it A.J. Hoggard? 3, if MSU survives USC and Marquette, they will take out Kentucky and rematch Purdue for the Final Four.
Boy, Michigan State, Purdue. Everybody would sign up for that and their brother right now. Michigan State, Purdue. And the thing is, if MSU got to that point, I don't hate the matchup for them, because I think they know they can play it. They know they've got to shoot a certain way. You think about the matchup where they did okay. Tyson Walker hit a lot of shots, but they are potentially a better offensive team than they were back then. Purdue's guards are not playing as well, although I'd say this, if Purdue's in the Final 8, their guards are probably playing pretty well again. Maybe you can get into them a little bit. I don't actually, as bad as that matchup at one point looked for Michigan State, if it was Michigan State-Purdue, part of it's just you get to a Final 8. It's one shot for the Final 4. It seems like you're playing pretty well. Everybody would sign up for that.
Ryan Allen next. Number 1, State fans make no sense. They can't wait for next year's team to get here, but they want every senior to return next year. Make that make sense. 2, State thinks we got the easiest draw, and I agree now. Watch Marquette be the best 2 seed and cruise to the Final Four. 3, MSU by 15 versus USC.
Yeah, I mean, they want the new pieces coming into next year is what Michigan State fans want. And they want they want the ceiling to change, and they think guys like Jeremy Pierce Jr. and Xavier Booker and Cohen Carr do that. They will be freshmen, though, but I do think the reason there's excitement, even though you want guys to return, is you want the perfect blend of veteran, really good college basketball player experience and new guys who don't have all the pressure on them but raise your ceiling. I don't know that bringing everybody back does that best. As good as Tyson Walker is, I don't know that creates the highest ceiling next year, but maybe it will. That would be a delicate thing with Jaden Akins, with Jeremy Pierce Jr. I think that would be interesting.
Chris Fletcher, number 1, free throw shooting will carry MSU past USC. 2, focus will be on Joey versus Marquette, but Akins and Hall will shine to get MSU to the Sweet 16. 3, Couch and Rexroad bet when Tennessee MSU meet in the Elite 8, where the loser partners with the Rube to remake the Boats and Hoes music video. Sorry, Jason.
What is the Boats and Hose music video? Do you know what that is?
I am assuming it is a boat with some ladies in some scantily clad clothing.
But you have not seen it
with music.
I would assume the same thing.
Yeah,
it would make sense unless there's a lot of metaphors in there somewhere that I'm not reading.
The hose part.
Yeah, Rex Road would be fun. Look, if Tennessee gets to New York and Michigan State's there, hanging out with Rex Road for a weekend in New York, I've done it before. I'm sure my gut and liver can handle it one more time.
Cucker Tarlson next. Number 1, what's the top thing that MSU needs to get through this tourney? Gumption. 2, when I die, bury me in kacha cheese. What's kacha cheese?
I don't know.
Katija cheese.
I want to sound smart, but I don't know.
Katija. 3, so now that the bra bet is over, what are you thinking for next year's big bet? Got to double down, I say.
I like the play on gumption, by the way. Gumption's such an underutilized word. I mean, I overuse it, but for most people. All right, bra bet's done. What should I do for Michigan State basketball next year? See, I don't feel confident yet. I don't know what the roster is going to look like.
I don't know.
We'll come up with something that would be can't be a tattoo. We had one really good idea, and I can't remember what it is.
Would you get a tattoo on the bottom of your foot?
That sounds painful.
No, it's not too bad.
It's like getting a wart removed. I don't want that.
Well, I'm saying you can still get a tattoo and put it on your foot. No one's going to really see it.
What would it have to say?
Cockburn.
Okay. Yeah, but we got to come up with a reasonable.
Cockburn.
We'll see.
It's a guy's name, Kofi Cockburn.
It is.
You're a fan.
It's no doubt.
Neurotic pants. Number 1, without Tom Izzo, this underwhelming no high draft pick roster isn't even relevant. 2, alternatively, a better real-time X's and O's coach would have given Michigan State a win at Iowa versus Indiana and against Michigan at home. 3, gymnastics is not truly a team sport. Hot take.
It's certainly the hardest sport to cover. I've only ever covered one gymnastics meet in my life, like covered the meet like high school gymnastics when I was working for the Daily Herald as a freelancer in college. And it was like I thought one team was winning the whole time. Turned out the other team was winning. And not only that, both teams knew which team was going to win, and it was the other team from which I thought. It was very confusing. But I don't. It is a team sport. I mean, there's a lot of individuals within the team, but it's like tennis. Tennis can be a team sport, even though you add up the wins. That's Without Tom Izzo, this is an underwhelming roster and isn't even relevant. There are other good coaches out there, and I think this is a seasoned roster, and those rosters win in college basketball with good guards. I think a lot of people would win games with this roster. And I do think that Jaden Akins, Joey Hauser has a chance to be a second-round pick, and Jaden Akins eventually has a chance to be an NBA guy.
Couch on fire. Number 1, betting on golf is ass. Spieth was plus 200 to miss the cut and was saved when his drive hit a guy on the last hole instead of going in the water. Brutal. 2, Ohio State may be the best team in the Big Ten next basketball season. And 3, too bad the women decided not to play in the NIT.
Were they? I don't think they were selected, but unless I don't have information correctly, I don't think they were actually selected. So wait a sec. He hit a guy and it saved his.
Yeah, he hit a dude. It was going to go right in the water, and he hit the guy and it bounced off his chest and went right in the fairway.
That's incredible.
By the way, I have an interesting golf bet over the weekend. Yeah. Scotty Scheffler won the Players last week when I was watching the Arnold Palmer Classic or Invitational, whatever you call it. I tried live betting, and I tried picking Scotty Scheffler because he was in the hunt. Well, it was actually for the Players, and it was locked in somehow. I don't know how the bet happened because usually you can cash those out if you fuck up. So I fat-fingered this Scotty Scheffler bet. Then I saw Saturday that he's making a push, and then Sunday he was leading by, it was up and down, but then he's up 4 shots. So I won a golf bet when I didn't mean to win a golf bet. That's how fucked up betting on golf is.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
The fat finger thing is weird. I had one of those horrible feelings a couple weeks ago where I fat fingered it and took the other side than I thought.
That's the worst.
And then thought I'd won the bet, and then saw the balance and was like, what happened? And that just, it ruins your day.
You know what happened when you see that balance.
Oh, it's the worst.
There must be some clerical error. Yeah. We just get over here to the chat.
It ruins your day.
Tyrone Couch next. Number 1, Michigan posting that they are a 2 seed, then becoming a 3 seed is about as awesome as claiming that the all-times win record when you count high school teams in that record. I'm salty today.
2, MSU has a fantastic draw, and I'm still going to be a little twonk about the tournament and be happy when they prove me wrong and fail to and fall. Is that fall or fail?
I think it
into
should be
the Final
fall.
Four?
Yeah, fall.
Fall into the Final Four. Okay. 3, I saw
Murfreesboro.
Keen on the possible idea of leaning towards maybe playing at MSU one day. What the fuck is this? Native Jalen Thompson this week, and realized I'm short and weak. Oh, and we are getting a Dutch brothers. I'm intrigued. I don't think they made kids that big in the 90s.
So Tyrone's Couch Skymint ad right here. There's about 50 milligrams coursing through his veins at this point. I should have edited this more. My apologies. What happened to Michigan in the NIT seeding? That was the NIT's fault. The NIT released the bracket, and they had all the 2 and 3 seeds or something like that flipped. It was not great. It was not great, Bob, because that matters who's home in the second round.
Red Dog Dong next. Number 1, you are a coward for not saying my full name.
I put it in this time. Last time I just called him Red Dog.
What we say on the show, and we're afraid to say dong.
Yeah, I just,
Red Dog Dong.
Yeah. All right.
Not a real dog, 3, Malik will be a 25-point game.
We'll have a 20. Yeah, I did not edit this one either. Sorry. It was
too busy typing dong in all caps.
Yeah, I had a couple things to do before the show. It says 1 and 3. I'm sure I took out his number 2. I can't remember what it was. But if Malik Hall has a 25-point game, Michigan State wins. I will say that. There's no question. That would be for his storyline. It just seems like that's not where his head is, that possibility. But we'll see.
And finally, the Upper Deck Jerk guy. Number 1, Hogard wins MVP of the East Regional. 2, Hauser wins the quarterback QB job, and fans call for Thorne when he struggles in the second game, and Kim throws an interception on the first pass. It's his first pass. 3, Zach Edey won't know how to react when he gets called for fouls he's been getting away with in Big Ten play.
That would be the most epic thing ever if the fans at Spartan Stadium were calling for Peyton Thorne after their beloved Caton Hauser didn't work out and everybody else didn't work out. I would thoroughly enjoy that. People are right now throwing fruit at the pod. We'll fix that in post.
Throwing food at the pod?
Throwing fruit, yeah,
Oh,
like if you're on stage. I don't know. We'll fix it. We'll fix it later. We appreciate all of you for listening and submitting and producing our show. Thanks to Harry and Firekeepers iCasino and Sportsbook app. We appreciate Muskox. Go to gomuskox.com and check out their new spring collection. Of course, we appreciate Skymint, skymint.com for the latest. You might need it this weekend. Stop by Skymint before you start watching the games. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. We will be back. If Michigan State wins Friday, we will be back with a Saturday morning show here. That is the plan. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Room.